Hi, Miri here. You'll probably notice that I'm not in my usual spot, and I'm not. That's because I am traveling at the moment. Now, I didn't actually anticipate making a video, so please forgive the lighting, please forgive the sound. I do not have my equipment with me. That said, I wasn't planning on making a video, but then again, I was playing with this lovely little puzzle, and someone said something interesting to me that got me thinking, and I wanted to share that with you. He said, "Wow, you must be such a creative thinker if you can solve that." And I was like, "What? Really? This?" It was a little bit puzzling to me. But then I thought about it for a little while and I started to understand something. To somebody like him who doesn't know how to solve a puzzle like this, the thought processes that I must have engaged in order to come up with a solution must have seemed really foreign to him. He must have assumed that I made all sorts of creative leaps of imagination that led me to the right answer. Now, the fact that I was successful in solving the puzzle, I think, plays a key role in sort of determining that my process must have been creative. Otherwise, if I just made all these leaps and I got nowhere, well, let's just say success is the difference between crazy and creative. But to somebody like me, who can solve these puzzles and enjoys exploring puzzles of this nature, I gotta say, I really don't feel like the process is creative at all. I mean, I'm not making any crazy leaps of imagination. I'm not doing wild associations. I'm not even doing difficult associations. What I am doing is I am problem solving in a very logical manner. So I asked myself, what exactly then does it mean to think creatively? Well, at least in a case like this, and granted, look, I'm not in my usual spot, so my thinking is relatively off the top of my head, and I'm going to share it with you. But for problems like these, at least, I can determine that there are probably 4 perspectives and outlooks that I take that allow me to think logically through the problem so that I can solve it. And most people do not do, or at least not naturally do, all of these 4 things. And so because that process of thinking would be novel to them, should they incorporate that in their new thinking pattern, that would be a creative way for them to problem solve. So let's see if I can articulate this clearly. First thing would be about seeing all of the features. Now I say all of the features because a lot of people just stop at the features that they initially think is relevant, and that's the difference. A lot of features, I will always ask myself, was that just decorative, or is there a purpose, or is that a style choice? The second thing is, do explore the limits, the constraints of each one of these features. All of these features. Now, I do believe that most people will look at the limits of a problem and they stop there. So it's not that this particular point is a new way of thinking. It's just that you want to look at the limits in terms of all the features, and you want to put this in conjunction with the third point, which is look at what we call the affordances of all the features. Now, the term affordance really means the possibilities or the opportunities that the feature provides, whether it's intentional or not. If you can, that's an affordance. And of course, the last part in this problem solving, and probably the problem solving element to it, is to look at the relationship between the affordances and the limits of each one of these features. So let's see what I mean exactly in this. If you look just at the features you think are relevant, you're going to focus only on the fact that this ring needs to get off of this string, and these wooden things at the end are what make that challenging, so perhaps it's these things that are relevant in the end. If you look at the limits, you are going to see that, for example, you can't get this through because the beads are there. You can't get the ring off because these are there. And well, you're basically defining the problems and the constraints of this puzzle. But here is where the creative thinking really comes in, or the process really comes in. If you look at the possibilities of all of the features, you're going to start to notice that this little gap here is actually the perfect size to take this ring, this wooden thing. And that if you then sort of look at all of the opportunities in terms of a sequence together, then suddenly you're going to see that one opportunity leads to the next, and voila, the ring is off. Now, the beautiful thing about having a process, a problem-solving process that's structured, is that it makes it reliable and repeatable. And you understand everything that you've done. Because, let's face it, relying on inspiration is difficult. It is hard to be inspired on demand. It is hard to be inspired day after day after day. So if you have a process that's reliable and repeatable, then you have a system and a method of finding answers that other people might not think about initially over and over again. So what I'm basically saying, I guess, in this whole thing is that that guy was right. To him, my method of solving this particular puzzle was very creative, but only because my natural way of thinking was something completely foreign to him. Now, the good news is this type of thinking can most definitely be developed. And I'm going to hope that you'll stick around on this channel and join me as I explore exactly what this means and what it might mean for you and your creative project. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Happy creating!